Hey everyone, today we're going to take a look at another presidential political shift. This time we've got two consecutive elections. It's going to be 1956 and 1960. I've got plenty of other political shift videos I've done. There's a playlist. You can take a look at those if you'd like. And if you want to just skip ahead to the map, there will be a chapter down below in the description. Let's quickly put up the background about these two elections. 1956, Dwight D. Eisenhower. He won his second term in a landslide. He got 457 electoral votes, carried 41 states, and got over 57% of the popular vote. Adlai Stevenson was the Democrat. He got only 73 electoral votes, carried 7 states, good enough for 42% of the popular vote. 1960, that was a close election. John F. Kennedy got 303 electoral votes, carried 22 states, with 49.7% of the popular vote. Richard Nixon was the Republican. He got 219 electoral votes. He carried more states, 26 of them, and got slightly less in the popular vote, 49.6. That was extremely close in the popular vote, a little less so in the Electoral College. So let's get on the spreadsheet. Either you love it or you hate it, but we've got the states in the first column. We've got the 1956 Democratic vote, that is Stevenson, then the 1956 Republican vote, Eisenhower. The next column is the 1960 Democratic vote, Kennedy, the 60 Republican vote, Nixon, then the Democratic shifts between those two elections, followed by the Republican shifts, and the last column, that's the net change between the two parties between the two elections. And I have the usual shading. The darkest colors are 10 or more point shifts. The lightest colors are under 5-point shifts, 3 levels of shading, and we can get started in Alabama. And one thing I've mentioned in previous videos, some of the southern states in these years, there were both barriers to voting and third-party candidates. So just to make it really simple, I only took the Democratic and Republican vote from the Wikipedia page, and those are the numbers I used. There might be a couple different ways you could look at it, but that's what I did. So in 1956, Adlai Stevenson got 56.5% of the popular vote. Dwight Eisenhower got 39.4%. In 1960, John F. Kennedy got 55.8%. Richard Nixon got 41.7%. That's a net loss of 0.7 for the Democrats, a net gain of 2.3 for the Republicans, and a total net shift of 3% away from the Democrats and toward the Republicans. So that's how this works. Let's quickly go through the rest of these states. We'll leave off Alaska and Hawaii because they were not states in 1956, so there's no shift there. The next state is Arizona, and that shifted toward the Democrats by 10.9. Arkansas had very little change there, 0.4% toward the Democrats. California moved toward the Democrats by 10.6. Similarly in Colorado by an even 10. Connecticut moved significantly toward the left by 34.8. Delaware by 12.1, and Florida by 11.6. Georgia moved in the direction of the GOP by 8.7. Idaho had a blue shift of 14.8. Illinois as well by 19.4. Same in Indiana by 9.8. Iowa by 4.9. Kansas by 9.8. Kentucky 1.9. Louisiana still toward the Democrats by 35.6. Maine 27.7. Maryland 27.3. Massachusetts 39.5. Michigan 13.5. Minnesota an even 9. Mississippi had the best shift for the Republicans on here, going toward the GOP by 22.1. Now we've got a bunch more shifts back toward the Democrats. Missouri, a very slight shift there of 0.4%. Montana 11.7. Nebraska 6.8. Nevada 18.3. New Hampshire 25.5. New Jersey 31.3. New Mexico 16.8. New York 27.7. North Carolina 2.8. North Dakota 12.7. And Ohio 15.6. Oklahoma went in the other direction toward the Republicans by 7.8. Oregon had a modest blue shift of 5.2. Pennsylvania a stronger blue shift of 15.6. Rhode Island had the biggest shift out of all the states, 43.8 toward the Democrats. South Carolina went a healthy 17.8 toward the Republicans. South Dakota another 0.4% toward the Democrats. Tennessee shifted 6.5 toward the Republicans, and the rest of these shifts were toward the Democrats. First in Texas by 13.3. Utah by 19.6, Vermont 27.1, Virginia 11.6, Washington 6.1, West Virginia 13.6, Wisconsin 20.1, and Wyoming 10.2, and the national shift 15.5 away from the Republicans and toward the Democrats. So those are all the states, those are all the shifts, and this wouldn't really be complete if we didn't take all that data, apply it to a map. Let's take a look at that. We've got similar shading, 10 or more points are the darkest colors. This time under 1 point, those are the very lightest colors. Those are the tilt margins, 4 levels of shading, and here's where we would discuss what the takeaways are. Well, we just saw the national congressional shift was 15.5 toward the Democrats, so most of these states are blue, and most of them are over 10-point shifts. Plenty of them are over 20 points. Republicans did have some strength in the South, also Oklahoma, and there's some lighter shifts like in the Northwest, and Minnesota through places in the Midwest around Indiana. But in general, this is a great shift for the Democrats, and it just goes to show a lot can change only 4 years apart. In 1956, Eisenhower had a landslide re-election. His vice president was Richard Nixon, who went on to narrowly lose in 1960. Of course, he did go on to win his election for president in 1968, but during these two elections, there was a lot of change going on in the country at the time. Plus, two new states, Alaska and Hawaii, were admitted to the Union in between, and these are so far back. I'm sure there's a lot of nuance you could find if you dig through the history, but this is just to make it simple, show you where the shifts are, and I'm sure you could say a lot more about it, but I will leave it here for now. Let me know in the comments. What do you think about the shifts over these 4 years? Any thoughts on these two elections, the candidates, or some of the changes in the issues going on in the country at the time? Let me know your thoughts down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.